Hi everyone, I hope you're all okay. So this is Wednesday's literacy lesson and it's the third part of us writing our wishing story. Let's have a go. So I'm going to start off just by recapping our story so far, and it might be useful for you to pause me and read back your story so far. So outside, the morning light brought bitterly cold ice. A ferocious frost nipped at the trees, engulfed the vulnerable flowers, and adorned the window ledges of Sixthorpe Street. Inside, porridge was steaming, the television was humming, and Joey struggled to keep warm. He huddled under the fleecy blanket that usually inhabited the sofa and flicked mindlessly through the channels. His mum tutted, busily cleaning. She picked up his pyjamas off the fluffy carpet that was stained with spilt coffee from the week before. She thought about getting it replaced. All of a sudden, the television started to crackle and the picture flashed unexpectedly and began to morph into a peculiar face. Bewildered, he listened carefully to the person's message, explaining that one wish would be granted. Okay. Sorry, so let's have a look at our paragraph today. So this is a third paragraph. So this is from the model text. Tentatively, she wrote it up and read it out loud. Sarah gasped. This is just what she was looking for, another chance. Maybe lose the idle husband as well, she thought, shaking her head. This is where we introduce our character's wish. So, intrigued, Joey listened, noted down the instructions for making the wish that the man on the television gave him. He smiled excitedly. So this is just the chance he needed. It's just a chance he needed. This is just the look that he needed. Get rid of his mum. Then she would not have to fuss around him and interrupt his television. There we go. So, intrigued, Joey noted down the instructions for making the wish that the man on the television gave him. He smiled excitedly. This is just the look that he needed. So you've got dash there. That's just another form of parentheses. You could use a comma, or you could use brackets. Is your choice. A chance to get rid of his mum. Then she would not have to fuss around him and interrupt his television. So that's our next. You could use that. You could write that as a paragraph. So that's our next paragraph. And now we're going to think about our speech, okay? So this is where our character voices his wish out loud, and then another character warns him off. So I'm going to give this a go. I'm thinking lots of money to buy expensive clothes, and maybe you can finally sort this house out, she said to Jack, rummaging desperately in the drawer for a coin. So Joey's going to talk to Susie, his sister. I'm going to follow his instructions. No more interruptions. Oh, Miss Howship, you can't spell interruptions. Just think, no more interruptions whilst we are watching the TV. So I put TV here instead of television because it's speech. That's how my character would speak. So we've got my punctuation. I need my inverted commas there. Joey whispered to Susie. So I'll put these whisper because his mum's just in the kitchen and she might hear. So I'm going to follow his instructions. Just think, no more interruptions whilst we're watching the TV, Joey whispered to Susie, quickly jotting down the last of the instructions. So this is where you need to write your first piece of speech. Can you make sure you've got your inverted commas, you've got your punctuation, you've got how your character said it. I don't want to see said. Remember, we practiced this last week. So whispered, shouted, called, explained, anything like that to Susie. And then tell me, what are they doing whilst they're saying that? Quickly jotting down the last of the instructions. Now, this is the reply that your other character is going to give. So, utter nonsense, muttered Jack. So Susie's going to be horrified by this. She doesn't want her mum to go. You can't do that. Oh, I need some punctuation there. Cried Susie, horrified at her brother's So this is split speech. So she said something, we said why, and now we're going to put some more in. Who would tidy up your mess and cook your dinner? We couldn't live without Mom. You can't do that, cried Susie, horrified at her brother's suggestion. Who would tidy up your mess and cook your dinner? We couldn't live without Mom. So again, we need to make sure we're punctuating our speech correctly. We need our inverted commas, our punctuation, another word for said, and I'd like this to be split speech. So a bit of speech here. Let me just highlight this so you can see it clearly. Highlighter. So here's our speech. You can't do that. We've got some more speech here. Oh, highlight straight. Oh, I'm having a bad time today, aren't I? There you go. And then in the middle is how the character said it, and their thoughts and feelings to the suggestion, to the wish. So that's what it should look like. Speech, a bit of an explanation, speech. Remember to punctuate that speech correctly. And finally then, this is how our character reacts to the other character warning them off. So Sarah stopped and nodded suddenly. He was right. She made to throw the ticket on the fire, but something stopped her. Furtively, she stashed it in her pocket. So, Joey agreed. I'm not going to put that. I'm just going to put Joey. Joey moodily put down his pencil. Susie was. Now that Susie was correct. It's very similar to he was right. But I like that idea. So don't be afraid to take the idea from the model text and put it in your own, as long as you're not copying it word for word. So Joey moodily put down his pencil. Susie was correct. He crumpled up the instructions. Instead of throwing the piece of paper away, something made him put it in his pocket. He felt he may need it later. So Joey moodily put down his pencil. Susie was correct. He crumpled up the instructions, but instead of throwing the piece of paper away, something made him put it in his pocket. He felt he may need it later. Okay, so let's just check back then of the stuff that we've been, the things that we've written today. So it's a bit longer today. I made you write a bit more. I am sorry. So intrigued, Joey noted down the instructions for making the wish that the man on the television gave him. He smiled excitedly. This is just the look that he needed, a chance to get rid of his mum. Then she wouldn't have to fuss around him and interrupt his television. I'm going to follow his instructions. Just think, no more interruptions whilst you're watching the TV, Joey whispered to Susie, quickly jotting down the last of the instructions. So I've used instructions twice there. I could quickly jotting down the last of the man's words. Twice. You can't do that, cried Susie, horrified at her brother's suggestion. Who would tidy up your mess and cook your dinner? We couldn't live without Mum. So that's Susie's reply. Remember, mine isn't set out like yours will be because mine's on a different slide. But this speech needs to start a new line. So no matter where you finished for the last speech, this speech needs to start a new line. Joey moodily put down his pencil. Susie was correct. He crumpled up the instructions, but instead of throwing the piece of paper away, something made him put it in his pocket. He felt he may need it later. So you need to have written that bit of your story. So this is where we need the speech between the characters. Please remember to punctuate that speech correctly. If you need to, pause mine and have a look how I've punctuated mine so you can do yours in the same way. Don't forget that punctuation before you put the inverted commas after your speech. Okay, don't forget to email it to us and come back tomorrow and we'll carry on. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.